we're trying to do at the moment is the sun's just coming up over the mountain there, and we're trying to photograph the forest and trying to get some sun stars. So ideally you're looking at, you know, shooting it around f/16 to be able to capture those sun stars. Olek's done what he always does, and that's to carry his camera on the tripod and set it up instantly and take any composition I might have been thinking of previously. So how's it looking, Olek?
Oh, I mean, the sun's behind the clouds, so we ain't going to get any sun stars.
Nah man, you just got to work with it. You got to work with it, you know, work to the conditions. But yeah, we're going to try it out and just see what it looks like anyway. We did come here with forest photography in mind, so I'd be pretty disappointed if we didn't even get one shot that we weren't happy with. Masters of photography at work. One person shooting directly that way, and the other person shooting straight across.
Yeah, so Regan's done what he always does, which is set up his tripod right in front of me.
Oh dear. So I have this particular idea in mind where I've got these three trunks here of this tree, and the light just before was catching really nicely on them, so I'm hoping to get maybe a sun star coming through the top of them, but also just to capture some really nice light of them. More of an abstract shot. I mean, that gives you an idea, a pretty poor idea, but it gives you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. So basically just waiting for the sun and waiting for the clouds to stop relenting.
And this is the final image that I ended up with. So I actually really like this shot. I've been challenging myself recently to try and not use such wide focal ranges and try and capture everything, because in my last video you would have noticed just how busy the photo was at Omahu Bush. Whereas with this shot, I've really tried to pick out the order within the chaos, as it were. So trying to focus on a particular subject and try and bring the beauty out within that subject. This photo is actually two different photos. Both were put together in Photoshop because the highlights were completely blown out in the background, but the light on the tree was just beautiful. So I painted in some of the light that's on the trees there just to give it that more depth, and then use the other photo where the background highlights weren't so blown out, just so it's got a nice balance throughout it. I really love the colors and the light in this photo. I really love the minimalist composition to it. The colors are absolutely beautiful, those deep forest colors, and so I'm really happy with the way that this photo turned out.
Olek and I at the moment are trying to shoot straight up this tree here, which is proving a little difficult given the camera setup and not being able to see the screen. So this is random photography at its best, I'd say, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's random photo generation.
Yeah.
So not too long after talking about this photo will you hear Olek and I talk about how unsuccessful this photography trip was and just how terrible the light was for most of the time that we were shooting. But you can imagine my surprise when I loaded the photos into Lightroom to find this magnificent masterpiece. I was very happy, to say the least. My favourite part of this image, and I don't know if you've noticed it yet, is just the way the trees grow together but are still slightly separated. There's still that white space in between the trees, which is actually helped by the clouds, which were directly above the trees. So thank God the clouds were there for this shot. But yeah, I just love the way that they're almost slightly separated, but they still kind of huddle together in this magnificent, nature hug or something like that. The colors on the trees are obviously extraordinary. I talked about it in the last photo, so that's a really beautiful aspect of this photo, and I think it contrasts really nicely with the blue sky that you can see above. Sorry I didn't talk very much about what I was doing when I was taking this shot. The light was pretty fleeting on this day, as we talked about earlier, so I was just trying to capture it as quickly as I could. But basically this shot is at 10mm. so it's very, very wide, which is how I was able to capture all of the surrounding trees around that main trunk that I was focusing on. The aperture was just f8, and the shutter speed I just had to make sure was quick enough to not capture any movement in the trees up above, so 1/100th of a second or thereabouts. But as I say, I think this is probably one of my favorite photos of this year so far. It's not too complicated, but I think the main takeaway from this photo is just to try and think about different ways to shoot, whether it's, you know, aiming down, aiming up, you know, anything like that. I didn't even think that this shot would end up being, you know, that great, but I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. I'd be really interested to know about what you guys think about the shot, so make sure you leave a comment below and let me know what you think.
This definitely has to be one of the more unsuccessful photography missions
Yeah,
in recent memory.
yeah. I think as Olek's saying, it's a bit poos today. There's so much cloud being blown over, and just not enough light around the place. And the not very good compositions through here as well. But you know, that's photography. Sometimes it throws you some wins, and sometimes it throws you some absolute crapper days. But it's worth coming to these areas anyway, just to do scouting more than anything. You know, you don't want to be coming back here when the conditions are really good and finding out there's no compositions. So now that we've been here, we know that we probably won't waste our time again. How would you sum up today?
Bit shit.
Yeah. I think we're going to go back to one of Canterbury's finest establishments, the Sheffield Pie Shop, and indulge ourselves in a pie, because this morning was a little poos. We'll have a look at the photos anyway, but yeah, I think we deserve a pie, don't you? Yep.
Okay guys, that's this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then I'd really appreciate it if you could like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know what you think of the photos in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one, guys.
Makes photography all worth it, I think. Yep. Can I have a bite? Fuck off.